And welcome to the show. This is Community Matters. As you probably know, if you're a regular listener and tune in at this time of day. Joined in the studio by Mark Hayden and Harriet Rennie from the Plymouth FoodBank. Good morning to you guys.
Good morning, Ian.
And good to have you in the studio. Thanks for coming in. Harriet, we had a little chat off air and that was great. So we don't need to say anything now for the next hour. No, that's not true. Mark, if you're a regular listener, you might have heard Mark on Dave's Life Stories program. And Mark, you're the manager at Plymouth FoodBank, aren't you? Or the lead manager at Plymouth FoodBank?
Yeah, the lead manager. I'm part of the team down there. We have a team of 3 managers. And then we have a great group of volunteers who come in and cover various roles, of which Harriet assists us as well.
Brilliant.
In those areas.
Whereabouts is Plymouth FoodBank physically?
Yeah, we're down Manor Street, which is just off Union Street. And we're number 28. We're the big green and white building. We've just recently been able to get FoodBank logos on the windows, so people will know us and they'll see us. And please come down and visit us.
Very good. So Manor Street, that's down on the same side as Jabulani and all of that, and it's that side of Union Street.
Yes, it is. Yeah. You've got, if you know where the old theatre is in Union Street, and you've got the set of traffic lights there, if you came over from the theatre and went straight through the traffic lights and straight up through past the cafe and the garages, you'll see us over on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Been working at the food bank for a long time?
I've now been in Plymouth FoodBank in my role for 15 months now. Prior to that, I was 7 years ago, I was helping out in Callington when I was living in Callington at the food bank, but then moved back to Plymouth, got married, came back to Plymouth, and then 15 months ago got the job at Plymouth FoodBank, which is great.
And what about yourself, Harriet? You volunteer at the Plymouth FoodBank?
Yeah, I'm there on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. On a Tuesday in the morning, we have an autistic arts group. And then at dinner time, we have Table of Hope, where we have a Bible study. And we also share food and fellowship. Then in an afternoon, we have an autistic games group, which we do coffees and teas and cake. Yeah. Which they seem to really, really enjoy.
Everyone smiles at cake.
Yes. And once a month, I run Hairlicious. Hairlicious is a play on words between hair, as I'm a hairdresser, and also food, delicious. So Hairlicious. And I teach mums, dads, aunties, uncles, grams, cousins, you name it, how to look after their children's hair.
Okay, so there's loads we can talk about in there. I know that because we had a little chat off air, so that I know we can open that up. And it sounds, Mark, like there's a lot more to the food bank than just giving out food to people.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously our first concern is to meet people who find themselves in food poverty or crisis at that moment in time, who just don't have enough food to feed themselves or their families. That always has to be our number one priority, and that's what we're set up for to achieve. Then after that, it's great. We have the wraparound services partly to offer to the clients that come through, to enable them to move on and to come out of the situation they find themselves in, or just to give them that sense of value alongside what Harriet offers through Hairlicious, through the Tuesday morning coffee mornings, Table of Hope. We also engage with Citizens of Voice, and we have a lady connected to us who works through the food bank to speak with our clients and to give them financial advice and debt advice, which also helps. So everything we do is geared towards trying to help people come out of that situation they find themselves in at that moment in time.
So who uses the food bank then? I mean, because the image possibly in that can be portrayed through media particularly it can be a very negative image. But what are the I mean, customers, clients, the people that come to for the help that the food bank can provide? What kind of backgrounds? What kind of stories?
From every walk of life is the first thing I would say to anybody and everybody. And I get asked that question an awful lot. Well, it's those people that are on benefits. It's those people that, don't care, etc. Everybody should have enough money. No, everybody should have enough money. Unfortunately, we're in a situation today where the cost of living has spiraled out of control, where we've coming off the back of a pandemic, which has changed people's lives, not just for the short term, but for the long term. So we meet all sorts of people. There was a nurse the other month, who had finished a 3-night stint on night shift, was going home feeding her children, but was unable to feed herself, and eventually came to the food bank, and we were able to support her. She managed to get herself a voucher, and we were able to give her the food and to support her over the following 2 or 3 months until she was in a situation where she could put enough food on the table to feed herself and her children. We see retired people who have worked all their lives, who are now on a pension that doesn't get them to the end of the month. And it's so much about that end of month where money runs out, where families, where the dad's at work, where the mum's at work, or dad's at work and mum's at home looking after the children, and the money doesn't get to the end of the month. We see people that have suddenly out of work because of sickness. They've been working, but then they've gone sick and they're no longer getting paid, and it's supporting those. And there are those in the benefit system who are receiving their benefits, but that money doesn't cover the essentials for life as well. And as much as people try to get it to stretch, they can't. So we're about meeting people in the crisis, in that poverty situation where they just do not have enough food. They pay their bills because they don't want someone knocking at the door. They don't want to be evicted. They don't want to be without gas or electric.
Yeah.
But they can't cover food, and we stand there for that reason.
That's really wide-ranging, Mark, and I'm sure there's lots more we can unpack about that. We'll take a break for some music, and we'll come back and hear more. So welcome back. If you've just joined us, this is Community Matters, and I'm talking with Mark Hayden and Harriet Rennie about the work of Plymouth FoodBank. Mark, you gave a good outline of all kinds of people that could be using the services of the food bank. And I think really the one example that you mentioned really knocks the stereotype on the head. The nurse who's done a 3-night shift, kids at home, and it just isn't working out and just needs a little bit of extra help to get over the line to the end of the month. There's someone serving everybody else in the community herself through the work that she's chosen to do and still finding it tough. So, yeah. It knocks the stereotypes on the head. Does it impact you when you're working in the food bank and seeing people in that kind of crisis? What kind of effect does it have on yourself personally?
On a personal level, it does affect me. It's my faith that enables me to deal with those situations, because having journeyed my own life and understanding that each and every person is valued and each and every person is worth giving time to, whether it's 10 minutes or whether it's 10 hours. And so listening to someone's story, being there to help them, to say it's okay not to be okay, is what we really are about. We're a community made up of different people who have experienced different life situations. Harriet's here, who's experienced different things in her life to what I've experienced. Other volunteers, other managers have experienced everything. So we come together to say to people, look, whatever you've experienced, there's someone here who has experienced that as well. And we will help you get through this. We will support you if you want support. We have the opportunity to signpost them into Citizens Advice or into other agencies and support groups within the city. And we also offer the opportunity to come and have a cup of coffee and just talk to somebody and get some pastoral support if you wish just to be listened to. Because so many people just want to be listened to. So to answer your question, which was, how do I deal with this? How do I allow it not to impact me? The first thing, it does impact me. Because when you're hearing people's stories and people are opening up about their life, it will impact us. But for me, it's recognizing that they have the right to share, and we give them the opportunity to share, and we just listen.
Yeah.
And from that place, all sorts of things happen. We talked earlier off air, didn't we, Ian, about figures. I've brought no figures with me today because
Brilliant.
I don't want to bring figures with me today because it's about people and it's about the difference that a tin of beans can make to someone's life. If you are listening to this now, I challenge you to open your cupboard door and look in your cupboard and have a look at everything you've got on your shelves, and you shut your cupboard door, and that doesn't make any impact on your life whatsoever. Now open that cupboard door and imagine you had nothing on the shelf. Close that cupboard door and let your children come home from school, or let your husband come home from work. How does that impact on your life? Now open the cupboard door again, and the fact that you've got a tin of meat in there, a tin of baked beans and a tin of potatoes and a tin of peas. You can put some food on the table.
Yeah.
So the tins of food and the people and the impact that it has on people's lives are the important things. And we just want to support people through those moments of crisis and see them come out the other side. And we do. And when we do, it's a great joy. And it's a wonderful place to be.
Harriet, you're volunteering at the food bank a couple of days a week, running Hairlicious, which I'd like you to talk about in a little while, actually, because that's just amazing. But yourself, you're volunteering now, but you've used the services of food bank as well, haven't you, in the past?
Yes, I have. 12 years ago, I was here with my two lads. We were homeless and we walked through the doors at food bank.
And found it a helpful thing? Was helpful
Oh, it
more
was
than just the
different
food?
back then. You had tables and you could sit down and there's biscuits.
Not like that now, different now.
Yeah, it is different now.
Yeah. And so would you say the food bank played a big part in what was going on in your life, in how you went forward in your life? Was it, obviously among other things, but was it very significant for you?
Yeah, it did. I was able to feed my boys. So, yeah.
Yeah. A big concern when you're a parent and you're looking after kids, and if you can't.
Yeah, if you
get the
can't
food
feed them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Mark, I guess, how many, we're not going to talk about numbers,
No.
but it would be good to have a little bit of background, because you're obviously on the front line of things in Plymouth. It's our city. It's where we broadcast our radio station. I know we're heard elsewhere in the world, but have things got worse in the last few years by a measure of, are more people needing the services of food bank, would you say?
So the bottom answer to that, Ian, is yes, they are. What we are finding as well is that over a period of time, we've seen the number of people coming to our food bank sessions looking for food increasing. And the other side of that is we've seen our donations slowly decreasing, because where the generosity and the kindness of people, they've been able to donate and to give to the food bank to help us support, they don't have as much free wealth, free money to give away this time around. So it's that constant battle between balancing the two. On an average food bank session, we'll feed anything from 80 to 120 people in our city. On really busy days, we can be up to 300 people. Now, that's not 300 people turning up at the food bank session. That's across the board. It could be a family of 6. The next person through could be a single person, then a family of 4, then a couple. But when you equate all those together, on average, we're seeing between 80 to 100 people a session at our food banks.
Wow.
And then on really busy days, it can be anywhere up to 300 people that we're looking to feed.
How many sessions a week?
We open for 4.
Yeah.
We open on a Monday afternoon, 1:30 to 3:30. On a Wednesday, we're 10 to 12, and then again, 1:30 to 3:30. And on a Friday, we're 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
So we don't want to talk numbers, because the numbers don't, but when the numbers just give a hint at, look, things are happening here in the city. So that's between 400 and 1,000 people a week you could be seeing.
Yeah,
Sessions.
we could. Yeah, you could be as many people as that.
Yeah.
Over the.
We've had it so the queue has been literally up the road and round the corner.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's sad, and it's good that you're there. Let's take a break for some music. We'll come back and hear some more from Mark and from Harriet right after this. Don't forget, if you miss any of this program and you would like to check it out, you can check it out at crossrhythms.co.uk/Plymouth and look at the listen again. And we're back with you right after this. Mark, we've talked a little bit about numbers, but only to illustrate, and the human stories, the stories of people that you've outlined there. In the last 15 months, 18 months, the time you've been at the food bank in Plymouth, without giving any confidentialities away, which I know you wouldn't anyway, but what's really stood out for you? Any particular stories that have really, really meant something to you, as in either a really great outcome or something that's really broken your heart?
Wow. I mean, yeah, there are lots. Just seeing. Okay, so I'll give you 3 short stories, and I'll end with the third. So one situation was of a mother and daughter arriving at the food bank, and just seeing the fear and the embarrassment of wanting to be at a food bank, to come and ask for food, and to feel that they have let themselves down and their families down. Just being able to come alongside people and say, it's okay. You know, we all experience hardship at times, and we all experience it in different ways. And to be able to just take the time just to sit with them and just to let them work through what they're going through, and then to see them actually find the courage to come to the door, and then to come through the door, and to realise once they're through the door that every person in there cares for them.
So they were so nervous that you had to go out to meet them to encourage them that it was safe to come in. It would be okay to come in. Wow.
Spotted them in a car parked across the road and knew who they were and what they were for. Another great story is, it's really interesting because the sign behind Ian says community radio for Britain's Ocean City. And it's the word community that really strikes me, because for me, it's made up of common and unity. Everybody in that place at that time has a common reason for being there. The person in the front of you in that queue, as I've already said, could be a nurse, could be a retired soldier, could be someone who's just been discharged from prison, could be someone who's not very well, could be someone who's just found themselves on benefits. Various reasons, different people, but all with one common reason: they need help and support. And the unity is, we're there together. No one's judging anyone. And just this week, when the rain's been chucking down, and people have been stood outside, I have seen those in the queue give up their place for someone else so they could get their food before them.
Wow.
Even though they were in need.
Yeah.
I've seen people in the queue, because we were busy, take their own phones out and ring and give their phone to someone to ring so they can give them the phone number to get a food voucher. Just yesterday alone, I saw a guy who was struggling with his health, and there was someone else there who then, when they finished, offered to give him and his partner a lift back to where they came from. And they don't know each other. And yet they recognise that they're in the same place, and people aren't judging each other. They're just accepting each other for who they are. So all of those stories warm my heart. All of those stories, bring those moments of sadness. But knowing at the end of the day, when we shut our doors, we've made a difference to someone's life. And you've already asked Harriet, and Harriet shared a little bit of her story. And Harriet's here today because she had the courage to come into the food bank. And, she was given a food parcel. And then from there, a friendship has developed, and she's been able to come back and to commit some time back into the food bank and bring the skills that she had to help reach other people. And there are lots of stories within our volunteer teams. Some of our volunteers have never experienced life situations like our clients do. Some have. But it's that community coming together. And that's what gives me the real hope. That's what gives me at the end of the day, when we close the doors, when I look around the room and when it's full of volunteers or whether it's me on my own, is the fact that together we have been able to make a difference. And I might not be able to meet that person where they're at and gain understanding, but there's someone in that room who will take 5 minutes just to listen to their story, and they'll be able to go and feel better for themselves. And it's amazing the difference a tin of beans will make. I use beans because it's something we've got in our cupboards. It's something we take for granted. A box of Cheerios makes a big difference to someone's son in the morning.
Mark, that's been really, really, really helpful hearing those stories particularly. We'll take a break for some music. Back to hear more from Mark and Harriet right after this. Mark, you told a few stories there before that last track, which was and not stories. You shared real experiences that were that certainly illustrated not exactly, but gave a heart for what you're doing and why you're doing it, and an ability. I found it really helpful. I can connect with the people you shared about in those stories. You've got one more, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. It just came to mind while you were playing that piece of music, Ian. And that is, I remember this day, and this is when I was working at Callington Food Bank, but it's such a pinnacle story. We had to do a delivery to a family. It was a single mum, and she had about 4 or 5 children, and her youngest was a daughter. So there was me and another colleague. We'd put the food parcels together, and we'd gone off to the house. And we went in, and we were invited into the kitchen. We took the stuff into the kitchen. We put it down on the floor. And her 6-year-old daughter came into the kitchen, and she opened one of the food bags, and in there was a packet of crisps, 6 packets of crisps, a variation packet, but it was promoting the movie Frozen. And she took these crisps out, and her face lit up. She opened the bag, and she pulled out this packet of crisps that had a picture of Elsa. That is her name, isn't it? Elsa.
Yeah,
on this bag of crisps. This 6-year-old girl, you think you'd just given her everything she ever wanted for Christmas. And her words were, "Look at this, Mummy. I've now got a packet of frozen crisps with Elsa on that I can take to school tomorrow to show my friends, because this is what they have." In their lunchtime, her friends would have packets of crisps with Elsa on and other characters out of Frozen. She never had that. And then on that day, she did. That packet of crisps meant the world to her. It made all the difference. When she went into school the next day, she felt the same as her school friends. She was no different. She was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to do. We get to make people, young and old, feel valued. And a bag of crisps can do that if it's given in love.
That's a really powerful story, Mark. I mean, maybe we should just do another life stories with you and get the stories of people. But let's have expanding on that, because it is more than just giving food, and you've said that. Yourself, Harriet, when we chatted off air, you talked to me about Hairlicious, because you're a hairdresser, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
All qualified, all trained up.
Yep, I'm also a nail technician, and I'm also a beauty therapist.
Okay, so you've got a lot going on there, and your own story. It's up to you, whatever you unpack or don't. But I know briefly that you were, life was going well, then you hit circumstances. So, like Mark said, it can happen to anybody, really, and needed the food bank, and that's how you got involved. But now this Hairlicious thing that you've talked about, I love the name for a start. Hairlicious is a great name.
Yeah, it is.
And it's about adding a lot of value into the folks. This is with Food Bank, isn't it? Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it's with Food Bank. So families, I mean, you can come in, the kids can do arts and crafts. We have Action for Children come over, and there's games and all sorts of things going on for them. Then also in the kitchen, we have food being prepared. So then also they get fed. And then over on one side of the room, you'll have me, myself, and my dolls' heads. And then I teach them.
And when you say dolls' heads, I've seen the pictures. They're not little Hambro dolls. They're like model dolls' heads,
Yes,
aren't they?
they're
For
model
hairdressing
doll
purposes.
heads, yeah, training heads. And over there, I teach them how to detangle hair, so that you've got a child yourself?
We've got 7. We kept trying to. We've eventually figured out we got a good one. No, it's not true. Actually, they'll be listening. I'll get killed for that. No, we've got a few. We've got a few. And this that you do, it's with dads to start out with, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Began as a dads and
first
daughters
off,
thing.
it started as dads and daughters, but then some of the guests, they asked if their mums could come or their friends, which were girls, and I was like, yeah. So then it started expanding and growing.
And what do you do? So as a dad, well, I've got a daughter who's 12. I think that's what you were getting at. And she's got really long blonde hair. And it's like, withering looks if I ever say anything about hair. I always get it wrong.
I'm sure you do.
Honestly, I do. So what do you, because that's quite an intimate thing. To do someone's hair is a very close thing relationship-wise, isn't it? What do you do?
It's a bonding time as well.
Yeah. So what do you do with what does a dad and a daughter do? What do you teach the dads?
So, like to do little styles for school in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Brush their hair, put it into a plait. I've taught 4 dads now how to French plait.
And I've seen the pictures.
Yes, you have.
And they look very good. They look far too...
different styles, how to detangle without creating a complete mess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I guess for a single dad, that's going to be a really important thing for him with his
Little
daughter.
tips and tricks
Yeah.
to make it a much more enjoyable time.
And as this has expanded out now, it's beyond just dads now, isn't it? It's gone
Yeah.
to mums and aunties and nans and
Yeah.
So how often does that take place?
Once a month.
Yeah.
We're now, at the moment, we're doing it on the 3rd Saturday of the month.
And that's down at the food bank at Manor
down
Street.
at the food bank on Manor Street.
Brilliant. Do you get any feedback from people? I bet some dads are absolutely chuffed to bits when they get it right, aren't they? As a dad thing. It's like, I did a thing. Look, I did this.
Yes. I actually had one mum, because the session that we did just before Christmas, we did a Christmas session and we were putting snowmen into hair.
Yeah.
Using the little hair donuts. Well, one mum actually came back to us on the Friday and she brought her daughter in and she'd put a snowman in her daughter's hair. So everything she'd learnt in the session, she'd gone away and created that for her daughter and she went to school.
That is lovely. Oh, wow. That kid would have been star of the show one day at school. That's awesome.
It was so beautiful for her to come back and show me what she'd created.
Must have meant a lot for her to come back and show you that. That's really good.
Yeah, she was so happy.
Thanks for that, Harriet. Look, we'll take a break for some music. We'll come back and hear some more. And if you're listening, we will tell you at some point soon how you can access the services. It is by referral. We've got to say that. Heads up on that one. Mark will tell us more about that as we talk after this next track. Who shall I talk to first? Because you both got so much to say and we're coming to the end of the programme. Harriet, great stories about Hairlicious. One thing there, and it's just something that Mark said when we were off air that sparked it. Did dads come back and do more than one session of training how to look after?
Yes, they do. I've had at least 3 that come to mind that have come back because they wanted to learn more.
Wow. That's really good. That's really... Dad's getting involved in hairdressing. That's revolutionary stuff right there. It's really good. I love it. It's fantastic.
And to see the smiles on their faces when they leave, knowing that they have achieved something, is amazing.
Yeah, and that bond with their daughter.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, if I can turn to you, without breaking confidences or anything, you were there when Harriet first came into the food bank, weren't you?
I was.
And you must be, you've got a person there sitting beside you now for real, working alongside you, volunteering and everything. You must have seen quite a journey, quite a trajectory of change. And I know you said off air, Harriet, which I think would be brilliant if we could get it as a soundbite somewhere about how, things work out well. You've got a better saying than that. What was it that you said?
Oh, what did I say now?
It was brilliant. It was a genius moment. It was gold. It was.
It was, wasn't it? There's always positivity in everything that happens.
Yeah.
You can always find some positivity. There's always a reason.
Yeah. And you're saying that from, like everybody, but from your own experience of it going tough for a while. Yeah. Yeah. That's really encouraging. That's inspiring. And you've got a faith journey with that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Which is cool. Which is really cool. Mark, so how would you, I'll put you on the spot and we can edit this out if you don't want it to go on there. How would you say Harriet's changed over the time you've known her?
Wow. I would say that Harriet's biggest change, probably in the 12 months or so, it clearly is her faith, and the fact that that faith has motivated her to see how good she actually is, and that it's okay at times not to be okay, and the fact that she's able to relate that to other people.
Yeah.
You know, I will share this point. We are a faith-based food bank, but we're a community food bank open to all people to donate, to give, and we welcome all people where there are opportunities to volunteer as well. We're not exclusive. I don't want to say that at all. But my faith is important, and when I went into that role, my faith helps me sustain that role. And I prayed to the Lord and I said, I'm here because I believe this is where you want me to be. But could you just please allow someone to come through the doors who wants to engage in a relationship with Jesus? Because that will give me the encouragement in the dark moments to carry on, just to know that this is worth everything that we go through. And Jesus did that. He sent Harriet.
Yeah.
And the difference that Harriet makes on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday or in Hairlicious is amazing.
Yeah.
And the difference she makes in the church she goes to at Central Hall is amazing.
Brilliant.
And those are the things that we like to see, and that's what we rejoice in as well. So, yeah, Jesus made a massive difference and continues to make a massive difference. And that's true. Harriet's catchline is no matter what you go through, there's always something positive that can come out of even the darkest situations. And that's what Harriet gives testimony to.
Yeah. And from what I've heard from both of you off air again, it was a pretty direct first contact that Harriet made with you, wasn't it? You weren't shy about saying what you wanted there, Harriet.
Yeah.
How
was it, Mark? Because Harriet won't tell us.
No, it was one of those moments.
Rude.
Well, she says rude. If you're my age, then you've grown up watching westerns on the telly at times, haven't you? And go back to one of those saloon moments where the doors burst open and the cowboy walks in and the whole bar goes. And it was like that. The doors burst open and Harriet went, I need to speak to you now. And the whole room went, quiet.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let's go and talk. And the rest, as they say, was history. Praise the Lord for that too.
Yeah, and history's still being made now.
And our history's still being made now. And it's great.
Let's take a break for some music. We'll come back. I said that we'd explain how you can access the services in this section, and we haven't. So there we go. That's community radio, folks. I'm not paid to do this. I'm not a professional. We'll hear more from Mark and Harriet. We will explain how you can access services. We'll do all that right after this. Mark, Harriet, it's been a blast. I've really enjoyed talking with you guys and hearing this, and it's around a subject that for all of us really touches hearts and can be heartbreaking, as well as encouraging to know that a difference is being made. So I just want to thank you both very much for not just for sharing what you've shared, but the way you've shared it and your openness in doing that.
Thank you.
Getting down to the nitty gritty, Mark,
Yeah.
How do people, because if people are going to be listening either in need themselves or know people that are in need, how are services accessed through Plymouth FoodBank?
Okay. First, we do work on a referral basis. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have a health worker or you're connected in maybe to Harbour, or you have a probation officer or someone along those lines, or you're currently at the job centre with a DWP, then speak to those people because they have access to vouchers. We have at least 300 referrers across the city, who can give you a food bank voucher. Should you not have access to any of those facilities, then contact Citizens of Ice in Plymouth, and they will be able to give you a food bank voucher, or get hold of Plymouth City Council on 668 000 option 1, then option 3. You'll find a perfect person on the end of the phone who will listen to you and will be able to help you and guide you, and all being well, give you a food bank voucher to receive food.
What about if somebody's on the other end of this, or they might even be in need and still want to share? Because this isn't the prerogative of people that have got loads of stuff to share. In fact, the stories you've told, people in the line are helping each other maybe more than we tend to when we think we've got stuff. So, but somebody who wants to donate, somebody who wants to get alongside and help or volunteer, how do they go about doing that?
If you're looking to let's take up volunteering, if you'd like to come and offer yourself, then I would ask you to email me, and that's Mark with a K at plymouthfoodbank.co.uk, and just a brief outline about who you are and why you'd like to volunteer at the food bank, and then I will get back to you and we can go from there. At the moment, we do have quite a lot of volunteers, but there are always different needs in different areas that we're looking at. So please don't let that put you off. Should you want to find out more about the food bank, whether it's from donating or whether it's from receiving, then again, you can email us at info@plymouthfoodbank.co.uk, and we will get back to you and let you know how you can go about donating to us or receiving from us. Should you want to know more about the food bank and become a friend of the food bank, then I'll go back to the original email address, mark@plymouthfoodbank.co.uk. If you're a business or an individual and you'd like to come alongside and walk with us and support the community we're working in, then just drop me an email and I will get back to you and we can go from there.
Brilliant. Do you get out and about, like give talks in churches and different places like that?
Yep, we do. So both all of us, even myself, my two colleagues, Andrew and Rachel, will go out as well, and Harriet will go out. We'll go out and share the work of the food bank. We'll talk about the food bank. We'll show people what goes into a parcel. If churches want us to come in and talk from a Christian point of view, we'll come in. Harriet will share her story with you, her journey of faith. I will share my journey with you as well, journey of faith. I'm a local preacher in and around Plymouth and Cornwall, and if you're interested in a different type of preacher, then I'd love to come and share the gospel with you and just share what Jesus is doing in our city, because we have a great city. But yeah, in any shape or form, if you want to get involved in Plymouth Food Bank, then please contact me. I'd love to hear from you, and we can go from there. And if you are a church, we'd love to come and share. If you're not a church, we'd just love to come and share with you about the food bank and see how you can get involved with us.
Yeah, business network groups, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, right across the board.
Yeah. And again, just to finish on that then, so if people wanted to get you to come and talk to them or find out generally more about stuff, the email address is it the info at? Or you want to give your one?
Yeah, go for the Mark at plymouthfoodbank.co.uk. And can I also add Hairlicious?
Yeah.
If you're interested and you want to know a little bit more about Hairlicious and the dates that we'll be running on, you have to book in to come on the Hairlicious. You just can't turn up because we can't get overpopulated. We do have an email.
Email for that is hairlicious@plymouthfoodbank.co.uk.
And Hairlicious is like a hybrid of hair and delicious with the D bit missing on it. Hairlicious, yeah. That sounds awesome. I can see my Connie wanting to get involved when she listens to this program. Okay, that's great. Mark, Harriet, thank you ever so much for coming in. Really appreciate you sharing and giving us the information, but more than that, the heart in what you're doing. It's really been, I found it really, really encouraging, really helpful. yeah, more power to you, and maybe you can come and give us an update in 6 months or 12 months. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on. We'd love to partner with you here at Cross Rhythms, and in any way we can to help support. So thank you very much.
Ian. Bless you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
If you want to get that again, check out the Listen Again, www.crossrhythms.co.uk/listen again, and you'll be able to just chant whatever you do, skip through the video and get to the contact details at the end if that's the bit that you've missed, because that's the bit that we all tend to miss sometimes. Stay tuned, more music and life coming at you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week here on Cross Rhythms. It's been a pleasure to be with you today, and I'll be back with you on Community Matters next time.